Hello everyone and welcome back to FilmBook Review, an official YouTube channel of FilmBook. Featured in Google News, IMDb's news desk, and a member of the Critics' Choice Association, FilmBook is an entertainment industry news website that reports on the film and television show industries in the United States and across the world. Today on FilmBook Review, I'll be reviewing the film Nanny, a movie that screened at the 2022 Sundance Film Festival. Nanny is directed by Nikyatu Jusu, written by Nikyatu Jusu, and stars Anna Diop, Michelle Monaghan, Morgan Spector, Cinqua Walls, and Leslie Uggams. This is a Nanny movie review and there will be spoilers. If you like our movie reviews, please like this Nanny film review as that helps us out with YouTube's algorithm, and consider subscribing. Once subscribed, click the bell notification box and you are all set. Please also consider becoming one of our patrons on Patreon at patreon.com/filmbook. Although they may manifest themselves differently from their original form, the echoes of colonialism still reverberate down through the centuries. They disguise themselves under the mask of modern capitalism and the illusion of choice, but in reality, they are still causing families to be separated and dealing hardships towards African immigrants through numerous forms of exploitation. The logical accrual from this psychic destruction would be rage, but even that can be improperly harnessed. As a concerned Kathleen asks a distraught Aisha late in Nanny, Nikyatu Jusu's feature directorial debut that just took the Grand Jury Prize in this year's US dramatic competition at Sundance, is one's rage their strength or their kryptonite? And regardless of which one it is, what does that answer entail? Aisha, a young mother and a former Senegalese schoolteacher, is a newly undocumented immigrant looking for work in New York City. She left her son, Lamine, back in Senegal as she strives towards financial independence abroad, thinking she finally found it in her new nannying position for an affluential Upper West Side couple and their daughter Rose. Rose loves Aisha and the two get along for the most part, but the longer Aisha works for her parents, Amy and Adam, the more they become neglectful and unpredictable. This leaves her caring for a child that's not her own, while her patience and wallet runs thin, filling her with guilt and self-doubt about her motherly role towards her own son. Despite the support from her loving boyfriend Malik and his soothsaying mum Kathleen, Aisha starts to lose her grip on reality as she becomes convinced that some evil being is luring her away from Lamine and the success to which she's strived for so long. It's easy to draw cinematic connections right off the bat, particularly with Ousmane Sembene's seminal work Black Girl, another story in which a Senegalese woman journeys to the West and is hired as a maid to an unstable and abusive white couple. But whereas Sembene employs his straightforward realist approach, Jusu works a more magical realist one, utilizing African folk tales to complement Aisha's struggles. In that way, Nanny is another in a long line of the folk horror tradition to use metaphor and myth to give perspective on a clash of cultures, in this case particularly with processing the centuries-long trauma that black women have been dealt with through maintaining livelihoods after violent relocations. A closer comparison, then, would be to both Clipping's EP The Deep and Rivers Solomon's subsequent novella adaptation. Similar to Mariama Diallo's Master, a co-competitor with Jusu's film in the US dramatic competition, another part of Nanny's draw is its use of existential horror and prolonged suspenseful vibes to create a terrifying atmosphere without having to rely on singular, physically tangible villains. The monsters are more like auras that manifest themselves in various people and their actions, constantly shifting from one form to the next and making them difficult to pin down, much less defeat. Insert something about social constructs and institutionalized racism here. Sometimes these fears are external, like of Aisha losing her job and safety due to Amy's increasing instability or Adam's general shiftiness. Other times they're internal, wherein Aisha drowns herself in the worry of not providing enough for Lamine and failing to live up to her own motherly expectations. Jusu's coalescence of all these strands into a convoluted knot feels authentic to a lived human experience, messy and full of contradictions, just like the story of Anansi the spider that Aisha reads to Rose, wherein she explains Anansi's dual identity of being both a trickster as well as a survivor. As such, Nanny sticks out in its crowded sea of psychological horror as it thrashes amidst a slew of impending doom that, despite not always being pointed, is always palpable. There are some points where it flounders too much, particularly during a climactic reveal that doesn't necessarily feel unbelievable, but rather characteristically unlikely and narratively odd. Moments like that shake you out of the trance that Jusu otherwise establishes so well, but she's quick to reel you back under before you can grab too much air. Diop is great as Aisha, portraying her with such resilient reserve that her moments of psychological dropout play against her established norm with striking contrast. Although Walls as Malek may be the film's surprise wildcard, he offers her playful recess from and an empathic anchor for her increasingly chaotic work life with a wonderfully understated performance. Nanny is a film that does not shy away from its collective origins, but it repurposes them into a singular vision that feels both universal and unique. It's a figurative and literal example of there being more going on underneath the surface. And that brings us to the conclusion of this Nanny movie review. I would love to hear your thoughts on it below in the comments section. If you liked what you heard during this review, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. Thank you for viewing, and you can watch one of these reviews next.